Hi, hello, welcome and salutations. This is Soft Roots Lounge. We are here to talk about what lives underneath the surface. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not a teacher or professor. I'm not here to give you advice and tell you how to live your life. I'm just a passenger in life, like we all are. And boy, life be lifing. It be lifing hard sometimes, but this is a space where we can unpack those things, those little nuances that are a part of our life every day that deserve a little bit more attention. In the last episode, we talked about cycles, not routines, but emotional loops. These are the patterns we move through automatically, often without realizing how much they cost us. And today, we're going to extend that conversation. We're going to talk about boundaries. Okay. Now, I know you've heard this before. I know we have them. I know we understand the concept. This is just from my experience, what I've learned and how I guess, embraced it. Boundaries are rules, but they're not rules meant to control other people. They're rules meant to protect you. We're going to talk about what boundaries are meant to do and why they're often so misunderstood and how to actually build and enforce them in real everyday situations. So, if cycles are the patterns we live inside, then boundaries are how we begin to change the shape of them. And this is what governs you, what you will and will not allow to happen to you, what someone, how someone has access to you, right? Think of boundaries as a shield, not a weapon. It's something that filters what's allowed and what isn't. Most of the time, we don't ignore our boundaries because we don't have them. A lot of time I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't really know. I don't really have any boundaries. Yes, you do. Oh, you got them, but we just ignore them. But why? Why don't we do that? We ignore them to avoid conflict. That's it. That's it. We do not like conflict. I don't know anybody who says, you know what I want to do today? Have some good old fashioned conflict. That's crazy. Well, some people might. We don't want conflict because we want to keep the peace. Now, here's the part that doesn't get said enough. And this is what I've experienced a lot. And this is what I've come to realize about myself. Why don't I enforce boundaries that often? How come it's hard to just say no? Sometimes keeping the peace just means maintaining the comfort of others. That's what it is. For me, majorly. Majorly? I don't know what that word is supposed to be. But the majority of the time, that's the issue. Keeping the peace just means maintaining the comfort of other people. And that's how we feel like we can avoid unnecessary conflict. But what that actually does is it creates an internal conflict with yourself. What happens after that moment? I should have just said this. I shouldn't have engaged with that. Now you're going to lose your mind the rest of the day because of one moment where you could have just said, nah, I'm good. Just because you're keeping the peace doesn't doesn't mean that peace is for you. You're not protecting your peace, you're protecting theirs and sacrificing your own. Because sometimes in those moments, keeping the peace means allowing yourself to shrink, to stay quiet, to tolerate things you don't actually agree with, to tolerate behavior that you would not do to someone else. Again, you're not keeping your peace, you're keeping it for them. And that's not your job. It's not your responsibility to keep people comfortable. I heard before that there's a difference between nice and kind. Nice is a performance, it's the act of being kind. Being kind requires truth and honesty. I think I heard that from Trevor Noah. It was awesome, by the way. You're not keeping your peace, you're keeping it for them. And that part matters. That's where it all starts. At least it does for me. Now, my belief, you can be mad at me. You can disagree with me. You can even want to fuss me out. Trust me, you won't be the first and you ain't going to be the last. But that's cool. You allowed to have your feelings. I can't tell you how to feel. You want to confront me? Go ahead. But you're going to do so respectfully. I don't want nobody coming up at me yelling, hooting and hollering, hooting. Hey, you poo butt jabroni, I got beef with you. Rah, rah, rah. Hold on, player. My mama don't even talk to me like that. That's a boundary. Identifying the behavior and the action. I don't like this. Your nervous system is telling you something. This doesn't align with us. And just like that, just acknowledging that moment. I don't like how this is presented to me. I'm not going to engage with this. Just that alone, now I know I can move through an uncomfortable situation without becoming someone I don't recognize. We don't need to raise our voices to win a battle. We don't need to match chaos with chaos. That just creates more chaos. Quick math. We can just let people fight themselves, and they usually lose. You can't argue with yourself. Well, I guess you could, but in this sense, you can't argue with yourself. Think about how this shows up at somewhere like your job, right? Do something real broad. How many times have you gone into work knowing clearly what your duties and responsibilities are? And you do it every day. And all of a sudden, your boss or manager or somebody comes up to you and says, I need you to do this, 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 this. And suddenly they're giving you the tasks of other people, tasks that don't belong to you, the task of like 9, 10 people. And they still want you to finish it in an efficient amount of time. And you can't do that, but you do it anyway. You don't pause and say, hey, like, I don't really know if I can do that. You just accept it. Not because it's fair and not because you don't have the capacity to do it, but you don't want to disturb the peace. And in this scenario, the peace of that person with power over your environment that causes pause. So you do it this one time, but what happens after that? Well, now they know that you were able to do it. They learn that you'll do it. So they just keep doing it. They keep asking you. They keep giving you more. They keep giving you higher expectations than other people. Not necessarily because they're malicious, but because the boundary was never formed. It was never named. It was never shown to them. Hey, buddy, you do not have access to this. We got to talk about that. This is how our cycles start to shape negatively, where they start to drain us. Overextension, silence, resentment, repeat, 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 repeat. That's a lot of energy going towards something that you don't even want to do. Boundaries don't create conflict. They only reveal where peace was already uneven. Boy, I tell you. They help you identify early signs of situations that will slowly erode and decay your peace before you're burnt out, before you're bitter, before you blame yourself. It could be something very simple. Saying no is a very important boundary. I remember one time somebody asked me for a ride. It's not even that serious. It doesn't always have to be serious situations. This was just asking for a ride. Now I'm tired. It's my day off. I've been working forever and a day. And when I am off, I like to do absolutely nothing. But this friend of mine asked me for a ride, asked me to do some things, asked me to go out of my way to do something for them. Now, I could have done it, but I didn't want to. I started thinking of excuses to make, lies, right? How can I get out of this without seeming like I'm a jerk? Because you're not saying no to the person, technically, you're saying no to the request. And we hope that they can understand and respect that. But sometimes we don't believe that. So we have to find reasoning, thinking that, well, if I reason with them, they'll understand. A lot of people don't care about your reasoning, they just want what they want. 99 no's and a yes always means yes. And that day, I just wasn't having it. I didn't have a good excuse. I didn't have a good reason. I was still in my pajamas. I said, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. I can't do it today. Rebuttal. Oh, I'll give you gas money. That's real cool. But if I wanted gas money, I would have said that as a prerequisite. I don't want to leave the house today. I'm sorry. This went on for some time. Just a rebuttal after rebuttal after rebuttal. And usually that tries to wear you down. Just stick with your boundary. Hey, buddy, I already said, nah, I can't do it. After a certain point, I stopped responding because it started to escalate to a space where it shouldn't have been. Over a ride? Buddy, get Uber. I said no. Now, most time people will say, okay, that's cool. Thanks I appreciate it. Well, that's easy. Whew, thanks. But you are going to have people that are going to test that boundary. They don't believe you. You have to be consistent. Boundaries are layered. The deeper the boundary, the more precious the cargo it's protecting. It's kind of like how Shrek was talking about onions. There's layers. At the surface, it might sound like this: I don't like being spoken to this way. That's a boundary. It's respect, right? A layer deeper than that: I won't stay in conversations where I feel dismissed or talked down to. Deeper still: I don't allow relationships that require me to tolerate disrespect to belong. And deeper than that, I protect my sense of self, even if it means disappointing somebody else. Those layers don't come from theory, they come from honesty. The kind of honesty you usually only admit to yourself when you're alone. It starts with saying the simple, uncomfortable thing out loud: I don't like this. That's the beginning of a boundary. Had a coworker one time had an issue with me. I walked outside, cleared my head. He follows me outside the premises, confronts me in the parking lot like we're two crazy old men. Again, he was hooting and hollering. I already told you I don't like that. You got an issue with me, present your case. Don't come at me like I'm some little boy. Don't come at me like I'm beneath you. And as he was yelling and screaming and carrying on, I felt myself getting riled up. Like I was like, I'm getting off balance. And then I looked at him and I thought, I don't even care what you're saying right now because this is nonsense. I'm not even going to listen to you because your approach was wrong. I'm not giving you access to me. So I stopped in mid conversation. I said, hey, look, man, I don't like how you talking to me. Don't ever talk to me like this again. This is not how I conduct myself. If this is how you feel like you need to, then I'm not the one you need to talk to. And I walked away and he just stood there, bewildered. That's a good word. This is somebody I've told before Hey, we can just have a conversation. That moment, he was testing that because he felt that what he needed to say, what he needed access to, was more important than adhering to the rules of my personal self. And I'm sure that we've all been in a situation like that. It's uncomfortable. But when you show that boundary, when you show this is my foot in the ground and I'm not moving for anybody, that's when they look at you a little differently. So after you have this honest moment with yourself, after you decide what you will and will not allow, after honesty comes strategy. I use a simple framework. I think I got it from a philosophy class a long time ago, but it's still applicable. I use the if then framework. I'm sure you're familiar, but I'm going to give you an example. Actually, I can use the same example of that crazy jabroni who was hollering at me in the parking lot. I swear. As I watched him walk up to me, his face all screwed up, like he smelled some dirty diapers or something. You know that face. As he was approaching me, I said, if he comes up here and talks nonsense, I'm going to let him know that that ain't cool. If this happens, then I already know what I'm going to do. That's what I'm thinking. This isn't to punish. It's not to control somebody. It's not to get at you. It's to protect my goals. It's to protect your goals. And those goals matter. If the goal is respect, you can't force respect. You can't force anybody to show you respect. You can only show them where the line is. If this behavior continues, then I disengage. If this boundary is crossed again, then I reduce access. If this becomes a repeatable pattern, I stop participating. Layers. This is what I'm telling myself. It's not cold, it's clarity, self respect. One more thing that's important to name: enforcing boundaries is uncomfortable. It's not because you're doing something wrong. Remember the conflict, the idea of conflict that makes you nervous because conflict is unpredictable. It's not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're changing the rules of an old dynamic. A lot of us avoid boundaries because we don't want the conflict, right? Like I said, we don't want that dramatization. We don't want a dramatic fight. We don't want reality TV. We just want peace and understanding. When you start enforcing boundaries, you can feel like the bad guy. And trust me, you're the villain in somebody's story, especially if you've always been the agreeable one, the reliable one, the one who never had a problem before, right? That can make you feel like the bad guy. Boundaries don't make you the villain, they just adjust the narrative that other people were comfortable with because it no longer fits theirs. They're forced to see you differently now. Your left and right limits, right? Peace doesn't have to be loud. Boundaries don't have to be dramatic. We don't have to make a show of it. There's no cameras around. Who are you performing for? No. Sometimes they're quiet. Sometimes they're a little bit awkward. Sometimes they feel heavy before they feel freeing. That's part of the practice. And yes, every day is hard, but it's worth it. If you're not sure where to start, just start small. I had to start figuring out what my boundaries were. And sometimes we don't know what those boundaries are until somebody crosses that line. I like to use the word audacity. This man has the audacity to wag his finger in my face. Don't wag your finger in my face. That's not how people talk. That's not how I talk. It's a certain decorum, right? I start with something small and I just build from that. Pay attention to what you don't like before you worry about what to say. You don't have to respond right away. You can take a strategic pause and just let that moment absorb in you. What's going on here? What energy is being presented to me? Do I have the energy and the capacity to deal with this right now? Or do I need a moment to think about it? And when something keeps showing up, ask yourself one simple question. What am I allowing here that costs me peace? You can have an uncomfortable conversation in a safe environment. It's not the conversation, it's not the request, it's the behavior that follows it that you're uncomfortable with. It's the intention of this moment. And the intention is to take something from you. What are you willing to give? Because whatever you give, they're going to know I could either get more or maybe I got to come a little more correct. Boundaries are not something that you can just create overnight. It requires looking at patterns, sitting with yourself, understanding what you want to have access to, what other people can have access to you. It does take work. I'm still working on them. I'm still discovering boundaries that didn't need to exist years ago. But just like cycles, you can adjust your boundaries. Just like cycles, you can change that. We just have to have a conversation with ourselves. What are you protecting? Why are you protecting it? What matters more to you in this moment? Making someone else a little upset or self imploding because you didn't stand up for yourself? That's all boundaries are, man. It's just a shield. You got to define that. Look for the patterns. I know it's hard. It's not supposed to be easy. And I know it's like, I got to do this every day. Yes, every day. But think of it like this: you don't have to do everything at once. Creating boundaries, strengthening them, that's an investment for you. If every day you can take one moment, let's say like 5 minutes out your day, and just reflect on what went on, or just reflect on things from your past. Just sit there and name them. Give it a name, give it an identity. That makes it more concrete. Now you can picture it. Now you can see it inside the chaos. What's all this nonsense happening? Oh, you just upset because I said no. So you trying to hurt my feelings. I see where this road is going. I'm not playing that game. Disengage. Exit. You're protecting yourself. Once you show that you respect yourself, one or two things is going to happen. Either that person is going to respect you, or they're going to show you why you don't need to respect them. And honey, buddy, everybody in between, you do not have time for that. You got so much other things to worry about, other things to accomplish, other successes to claim. You don't have time for no clown nonsense whose only purpose is to beat you down until you relent, until you give in to something that you didn't want to give in the first place. Not everybody's going to understand you, and not everybody is meant to understand you. So when you're enforcing your boundaries, when you're trying to create a new cycle, you're creating new boundaries simultaneously, whether you're aware of it or not. Think back to a time years ago. Who were you then? Would that same person still allow what's happening in your new environment? Nah. Update it. You're going to be okay. We're going to be all right. So just work on that. Just work with no. It's the most simple yet most difficult thing to do, to say no, especially to people we actually care about, because we hope that they won't make it a problem. But I tell you, you'll find a lot more about somebody when you tell them no than you will if you keep saying yes. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm learning as I go. And this is what I found out. I'm really glad that we shared this moment. We went over a lot today. And let's just keep strengthening our boundaries. Let's keep growing. Let's keep improving. That's it for me today. I really appreciate you coming by and hanging out with your old boy, Greg, for a little while. I hope I can see you again. Well, I hope that you listen to me again. Until then, grow strong, my friends. Stay rooted. I love you.